The Galactic Council station floated quietly in the dark space above a blue star. Inside its massive hall, leaders and commanders from many alien races had gathered to watch a strange event. The humans of Earth were about to present their first deep space prototype ship. Humans were still very new to the galactic community. Most advanced civilizations had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Compared to them, humanity looked young, inexperienced, and technologically behind. Many alien leaders believed humans were not ready for serious space exploration. So when Earth announced that it had built a prototype starship, the news spread quickly across many systems. Curiosity filled the galactic networks, but so did amusement. Many aliens expected something small and primitive. Large viewing screens in the council chamber slowly activated. The dark image of space appeared, and in the center of the screen a single human vessel floated silently. For a moment the room was quiet. Then laughter began to spread across the chamber. The ship looked extremely simple compared to alien vessels. Its surface was smooth gray metal. It had no glowing energy rings, no massive weapon cannons, and no massive shield generators visible on its hull. It looked more like a transport ship than a warship. One tall reptilian admiral leaned back in his seat and let out a deep laugh. He pointed one clawed finger toward the screen. "A prototype," he said loudly. "That is not a prototype. That is a metal box pretending to be a starship." Several other alien officers laughed with him. Another commander from a four-armed species shook his head slowly. "Humans move very fast for such a young race, but this is embarrassing. They should have waited another century before showing something like this." Across the chamber, more quiet jokes and comments spread between the alien leaders. To them the human ship looked weak and unfinished. But the human representatives sitting near the front of the hall did not react. They simply watched the screen calmly. The ship on the display was called the HVS Vanguard. Earth had officially described it as a test vessel designed to explore deep space systems. According to the human report, the ship carried only a small crew and basic experimental technology. Nothing about it seemed dangerous. One alien scientist adjusted the controls on his console and smiled. "Let us scan the vessel. We can see what kind of technology the humans are using." Several scanners from nearby observation platforms activated. Thin invisible waves of energy moved toward the small human ship. The alien commanders watched with interest, expecting to see simple results appear on their screens. But the moment the first scanning wave touched the Vanguard, the scientist's console suddenly flickered. His smile slowly disappeared. "That is strange," he said quietly. His scanner suddenly shut down. The reptilian admiral frowned. "Did your equipment fail?" The scientist quickly restarted the system and launched another scan. This time the scanning beam reached the ship again. For 1 second everything looked normal. Then warning symbols began flashing across the console. "System error," the computer announced. Across the chamber another scanning station activated to assist, then another, and another. But as each scan touched the human vessel, the same thing happened. Warning lights began to flash across multiple consoles. Deep inside distant monitoring stations across the sector, ancient defense sensors suddenly woke from silent standby. Systems that had not activated for centuries began sending automatic signals through military networks. In several star systems far away, quiet security stations suddenly filled with red emergency lights. On screen after screen the same message appeared. "Unknown threat detected." Back inside the Galactic Council chamber, the laughter slowly faded. Alien commanders stared at their consoles in confusion. No one spoke for several seconds. The small grey human vessel still floated peacefully on the screen, silent and unmoving in the darkness of space. But across the galaxy, alarms had begun to wake up. And the aliens no longer felt like laughing. Inside the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, the laughter had completely disappeared. Alien commanders now stared at their consoles with serious expressions. The small human vessel was still floating quietly on the main screen, but the strange alarms spreading across the sector had changed the mood in the room. Several alien scientists quickly began studying the scan data again. They believed there must be some kind of mistake in their systems. Technology used by the oldest civilizations in the galaxy should not fail so easily. One gray-skinned scientist spoke while looking at his display. "There must be interference. The human vessel is probably using a simple signal jammer." The reptilian admiral crossed his arms and nodded slowly. "Then scan it again, and this time use military scanners." Orders were sent quickly. Powerful long-range scanners from nearby defense platforms turned toward the human ship. These scanners were designed to analyze enemy warships and detect hidden weapons. no simple vessel could block them. Thin waves of energy moved silently through space and reached the HVS Vanguard. For a moment everything looked normal. The scanners began collecting information from the ship's hull, numbers and readings started appearing on the scientists' screens. Then confusion began again. One scientist leaned closer to his console, his eyes wide with disbelief. That cannot be correct, he said quietly. Another officer looked over his shoulder. What is wrong? The scientist slowly pointed at the data, the energy readings inside the ship. They are far too high. Several other scientists quickly checked their own displays, and the same impossible readings appeared. According to the scan results, the small human vessel contained power levels equal to large alien battlecruisers, ships that were 10 times bigger than the Vanguard. That is impossible, one commander said, shaking his head. There is not enough space inside that hull for reactors that powerful. But the strange results did not stop there. Another scanning system reported something even more confusing. The internal structure of the ship did not match its external size. The scanners showed multiple hidden layers and complex internal sections that should not physically fit inside the visible hull. It looked as if the ship was much larger on the inside than it appeared on the outside. Murmurs spread through the council chamber. Alien officers began talking quietly to each other, trying to understand what they were seeing. The reptilian admiral stepped forward and spoke firmly. Run a deep quantum scan. I want full analysis of every system inside that vessel. The scientists hesitated for a moment. Deep quantum scans were usually used only on powerful enemy warships, but they followed the order. The scanning platform charged its systems and released a stronger wave of detection energy toward the Vanguard. The beam touched the human vessel. For 2 seconds nothing happened. Then suddenly every console in the chamber flashed bright red. Warning alarms echoed through the hall. Unauthorized access detected, one computer voice announced. Several officers looked around in confusion. What does that mean? One commander asked. A scientist quickly checked his system logs and his face turned pale. The scan, it did not only read the human ship, he said slowly. The ship scanned us back. Silence filled the chamber again. Within seconds, dozens of military networks across the sector began receiving a strange signal. Defense satellites, fleet command stations, and even secure research bases suddenly received a simple message appearing on their systems. Human Defense Protocol active. Back in the council chamber, every screen now showed the same warning line. Your systems are now visible. The alien commanders stared at the message in disbelief. The human vessel had not moved, it had not fired weapons, it had not shown any aggressive action. But somehow, with a single scan, it had looked directly into the security networks of the entire sector. The reptilian admiral slowly lowered his arms and looked back at the image of the quiet human ship floating in space. Just a few minutes ago he had called it a metal box pretending to be a starship. Now he was no longer sure what it really was. Across the chamber one question quietly formed in every mind. If this vessel was only a prototype, then what kind of ships were the humans building next? Inside the HVS Vanguard, the atmosphere was calm and controlled, while the galaxy outside was slowly falling into confusion. The bridge of the human ship was simple and clean. Soft lights glowed across the control panels, and a small crew of human officers quietly watched their monitors. At the center seat sat Commander Daniel Reyes, a calm and focused officer chosen to lead humanity's first prototype mission. He studied the incoming signals from the alien scanners without any sign of stress. A young systems officer turned toward him. Commander, the Galactic Council has launched 3 more scan attempts. They are increasing the power each time. Commander Reyes nodded slowly. Let them try. The Vanguard's defense system will handle it. The officer looked back at his screen and smiled slightly. The ship's artificial intelligence had already begun adapting to every scanning signal the aliens used. Each attempt only made the system stronger and faster. Outside the ship, the alien commanders believed they were studying the human vessel, but inside the Vanguard something very different was happening. The ship was studying them. Deep inside the vessel's core, a powerful adaptive intelligence system was quietly analyzing every signal, every frequency, and every security network used by the alien fleets. Within seconds, the system began mapping the structure of their communication networks and defense systems. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, alien scientists were still trying to understand the strange scan results, but they had no idea that their own technology was now being analyzed in return. Inside the Vanguard, another officer spoke. "Commander, the ship has successfully mapped 80% of the sector's defense network." Reyes nodded calmly. "Good. Continue passive observation only, no aggressive actions." The officer confirmed the order. The Vanguard remained completely peaceful. It had no intention of attacking anyone. But the ship's design itself was something the galaxy had never seen before. Years earlier, when humanity first joined the galactic community, human scientists quickly noticed something strange. Most alien civilizations had extremely powerful technology, but their systems followed the same basic design logic: large ships, massive reactors, and powerful weapons. Every advanced species had improved this design over thousands of years, but none of them had changed the idea itself. Humans saw the pattern immediately. Instead of copying alien designs, humanity decided to build something completely different. Earth's engineers created systems that focused on adaptation and intelligence, not just size and power. The Vanguard was the first real test of this new philosophy. From the outside it looked small and simple, but inside it was a complex network of learning systems, energy-efficient reactors, and adaptive defenses that could change in real time. The ship did not rely on overwhelming force. It relied on understanding its environment faster than any opponent. That was why the alien scans had failed. The Vanguard had not blocked them. It had simply learned from them faster than they could react. Back on the bridge, the systems officer spoke again. "Commander, the alien fleet in this sector has begun moving closer. They are probably trying to test our capabilities." Reyes looked at the screen where several large warships were slowly approaching from a distant star system. He remained calm. "Maintain position. Do not show any hostile signals." Another officer asked carefully, "Sir, if they attack?" Reyes looked at the quiet stars outside the viewing window. "They will not attack," he said calmly. The officer raised an eyebrow. "How can you be sure?" Reyes gave a small smile. "Because right now," he said, "they are trying to understand what we are." Across the galaxy, more military networks were beginning to detect the strange signals from the Vanguard. Alien commanders everywhere were asking the same question. What kind of prototype ship could quietly study an entire sector without firing a single weapon? And if this vessel was only humanity's first prototype, then what would their real fleet look like? For the first time since humans joined the galactic community, the older civilizations were beginning to feel something new. Uncertainty. And slowly, that uncertainty was turning into concern. The alien fleet moved cautiously, hundreds of massive warships slowly surrounding the small human prototype, each vessel bristling with weapons far larger than the HVS Vanguard. From the outside, the Vanguard still appeared simple. Its smooth grey hull showed no signs of energy weapons, no shields glowed around it, and its engines burned steadily but quietly. The alien commanders whispered among themselves, confident that their overwhelming numbers and firepower would quickly end any human resistance. "Target that vessel," the reptilian admiral ordered. "Show them why the galaxy laughs at Earth." Weapons systems on dozens of alien ships powered up. Turrets rotated slowly toward the Vanguard. Energy readings from the human's hull were minimal, no sign of heavy shields or weapons output. One officer from a four-armed species smirked. "They will regret stepping into this space. That vessel will be destroyed before it even fires." But inside the Vanguard, the human crew remained calm. Commander Daniel Reyes adjusted the ship systems with a few simple commands. The vessel's artificial intelligence processed the incoming signals instantly. As the first alien ships locked their weapons, something unexpected happened. The targeting systems across the alien fleet began to fail, slowly at first, then all at once. Energy weapons froze mid-charge, navigation controls began malfunctioning, communications between ships went dead, and fleet-wide sensors flickered in confusion. The alien commanders stared at their consoles in disbelief. Every system they had relied on for thousands of years was failing. "Impossible," the reptilian admiral growled. "This is impossible." Another commander shouted, "The ship has not fired a single shot. Nothing has happened, yet our systems, they are shutting down." The Vanguard had not moved from its position. It had not emitted any aggressive energy, yet the vessel had completely disrupted an entire fleet. Inside the ship, Commander Reyes gave simple commands to the AI, and the vessel adapted to each new threat instantly, reinforcing its defenses and maintaining perfect stability. The alien commanders realized slowly, and fear began to spread. The humans had not built a typical starship, they had created a living machine, capable of learning faster than any opponent, able to control information and energy in ways the galaxy had never imagined. One admiral whispered to his officer, "They said this was a prototype, just a test, and yet it can control our entire fleet." The four-armed commander shook his head, his claws trembling. "We underestimated them. We thought they were weak. We thought this was a joke." Outside, the Vanguard continued to float silently, appearing harmless and small. But every alien sensor in the sector had already recorded the truth. This ship was not weak, it was not simple, it was far beyond anything they expected. A council communicator crackled, reporting from a distant system. "All fleets in this sector are experiencing control loss. Unknown interference is originating from the human vessel." Panic spread slowly among the alien forces. The Galactic Council, once confident and amused, now sat in stunned silence. No one spoke, no one laughed. Across the galaxy, for the first time, aliens realized that humans were not just another primitive race. They were clever, prepared, and far stronger than anyone could have imagined. And the HVS Vanguard, that small prototype vessel, had just proven it. Commander Reyes looked at the calm stars ahead. He did not smile, he did not celebrate. All he did was quietly report. Status: Human Defense Protocol active. No threats detected. Sector control stabilized. The aliens had learned a lesson that day. You cannot judge humanity by appearances. And you cannot laugh at a race that quietly prepares while everyone else is distracted. The galaxy had finally realized the terrifying truth. Earth was no longer weak. And the prototype was only the beginning. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. The room that had once echoed with laughter now filled only with tension. Alien commanders stared at their consoles, trying to process what had just happened. The small human vessel, HVS Vanguard, still floated quietly on the main screen, completely calm and unmoving, yet it had rendered an entire fleet helpless without firing a single weapon. A human representative stepped forward, his voice steady but firm. The Vanguard was a prototype test vessel. Its mission was exploration and observation, not war. The council members exchanged nervous glances. Their advanced civilizations had been confident in their superiority, but the events of the last hours had proven how wrong they were. One reptilian admiral finally spoke, his voice low. "If this is a test, then what does your true fleet look like?" The human representative smiled faintly. "You will see in time. Humanity has prepared quietly for centuries. Our fleet will grow, but we do not seek war. We seek respect and survival." Across the galaxy, the message spread quickly, not as a threat, but as a warning. Do not underestimate humans. Alien governments began adjusting their fleets, rethinking strategies, and reviewing intelligence protocols. Everywhere, commanders realized that humanity had quietly changed the rules of the game. Back on Earth, the news of the Vanguard's success created excitement but also calm determination. Humans had proven themselves capable, but they had also learned the importance of patience, planning, and intelligence. The Vanguard returned to Earth's orbit eventually, its mission completed, but the galaxy would never forget it. Every alien fleet that had witnessed the ship now knew one simple truth. Appearances can be deceiving, and humans were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. From that day forward, no alien ever laughed at Earth again. The galaxy had learned a valuable lesson, one it would not forget. Humanity may have been small and underestimated, but it was clever, prepared, and unstoppable when pushed. And the story of the HVS Vanguard became legend. A quiet reminder to all that a single human vessel, calm and controlled, could change the balance of power across the stars. The galaxy had stopped laughing, and it had begun to watch humanity with a new kind of respect. One that would shape the future of interstellar relations for generations to come. Humanity had finally stepped into the stars. Not as weak newcomers, but as a force the galaxy could no longer ignore.